So Charlotte, it's great to be here with you today and to hear about what you're doing, particularly in sexual violence cases. Do you want to tell me about how you've changed the way you work here and how that's really helping you engage with survivors?
Absolutely. I think one of the key things that we've done is to look at the way that we write to survivors. So right at the beginning of the case, we're engaging with survivors, we're introducing ourselves, and we're explaining about what we do and how their case is going to go forward. I think that's so important that they see that contact right from the beginning, and they've got a name, they've got somebody who they can contact. And we've also set up our victim liaison units. There's a specialist point of contact there, someone who's trained and has had experience engaging with people who've been through domestic abuse and sexual abuse. And it's really fantastic because they're there to support that individual throughout the life of the case.
So how are your community relationships? Who do you work with who helps survivors?
Yes, so there's two ways really that we work with the community. We have scrutiny panels, and these panels are where we will look at cases together with third sector organisations, so everybody from ISVAs, independent sexual violence advisors, children's violence advisors, people who are outreach workers, so all different people, and also the police as well. And we're looking really at what we can learn from those cases and how we can do things better, which is great. And then we're also doing a lot of student panels, so talking to students about what does consent mean, and how can you use that knowledge to sort of better assist you in your life. And also we're hoping really to drive down sexual offending as more and more people understand consent and how they know if somebody's consenting.
Yeah, so is there a lot of interest in that with students in what consent means?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the things that I found really concerning is the fact that there are a lot of young people who really don't understand what consent means. And we think of it as being simple, but actually there's a lot of complexity and there's issues that they want to talk about. So things like, if I don't report it straight away, does that mean that you can't prosecute it? Well, no, of course we can prosecute it. We're dealing with offences that are 50, 60 years old.
And I think there's often a lot of misunderstanding about if there's no other evidence, if it's your word against theirs.
Yes, absolutely. That they worry that if they're the only person who's giving that evidence, how can we take a case forward as a prosecution? But we can. In the majority of our cases, we just have that survivor as our evidence. So that doesn't preclude us from going ahead and prosecuting.
So what would your message be to a survivor of sexual violence who hasn't yet come forward to tell us about their case?
What I would say is seek out the support first and foremost. I think that's really important. That's what all ISVAs and CHISVAs would say. Seek out that necessary support. Once you've got that support in place, then work out what is the next step for you. And my hope is that they would come forward and report, and that we would take that incredibly seriously and support them throughout. But of course, I want them to do what's right for them as an individual, but having that independent support will help them to make the best choices for them.